Welcome to the 15th episode of the Tiny Nimble podcast, a show all about mobile gaming hosted by myself, Nimblethor, and my fellow YouTuber, Tiny Little Games. Now, in this episode, we'll be discussing our potential opposing views on the recently released MMORPG Warhammer Odyssey and all the other latest and greatest news from the mobile gaming scene, where we've seen a surprising amount of announcements lately. So don't worry, we're gonna get into all of that good stuff, so we just hope you'll enjoy the episode. Leave a like, subscribe, and rate the podcast if you're listening or watching on a platform where that's something you actually can do, because this is gonna be a great episode. But before we get ahead of ourselves though, let's kick things off as we always do with our righteous recommendations of the month. And Tiny, I'm curious to hear, what do you have for us? What's the most interesting game you've been playing lately?
The most interesting game I've been playing lately is going to have to be Unruly Heroes. Unruly Heroes is an action platformer with environmental puzzles. It's set in the Monkey King universe, so anybody familiar with the Monkey King series, Wukong, I know they're coming out with a game called Black Myth, Wukong Gang, which looks amazing. But this is basically a 2D side-scrolling platforming game. The gameplay mechanics are very similar to Trine, if anybody has played Trine. Basically, it's where you switch between different characters to solve environmental puzzles, defeat different type of enemies. It's very fun. It's very engaging. The boss battles, I have to say, are probably among the most engaging I've played on a 2D platformer. Basically, it's not just your brains you have to use, it's your bronze as well, but you have to switch between different characters to make sure you're let's say, for example, there's one boss battle where the lights are turned down and you have to make sure you hit these flower plants that emit light and it reveals the enemies, and then you have to battle them out that way. Super fun, super engaging. The art style is really amazing. I know it's a console PC game. It came out about 2 years ago and is just released for mobile, and it is a premium game, so you do have to pay for this, but get this, it's only $1.99 USD, and at that price point, it's a steal. There's about 12 or so hours if you want to 100% complete the game. It's really fun. If you like that Trine-like experience where you're kind of solving environmental puzzles, but also beating up enemies with cool, like, Monkey King specials and stuff, I think you're going to get a lot of fun out of Unruly Heroes. It really surprised me. I usually don't buy premium mobile games, but yeah, I don't. But when I see one that comes out and I'm just like, oh, this looks interesting, you know, and I get it, and I was just blown away by it. So anybody interested in that 2D side-scrolling platforming on mobile, I think you're going to get a lot of fun out of Unruly Heroes.
That is so interesting. I mean, I definitely, I loved Trine. I've played it quite a bit. Loved it. So if this is anything like that, maybe I should actually go pay those $2 for it as well. It seems to have great reviews as well, not just from you, but from other people as well on mobile. I'm curious though, how did the controls work out? It's 2D side scrolling, right? So that helps, I can imagine. Were the controls?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the controls, because I was so excited about talking about the game that I forgot to mention that the controls are a little rough.
Okay.
It's been known that platformers on mobile are a little bit difficult sometimes because you need those precision inputs when it comes to controls, jumping, maneuvering around, getting to certain platforms. And there were times when playing this that I got a little frustrated when it came to the controls because my inputs weren't always registering correctly, or when I wanted to fight or when I wanted to jump. It does have controller support, so for anybody who likes to game on a controller on their phone,
oh, that's good news.
Yes, yeah. They will like that aspect. There is a way for you to maneuver the controls to put them in different places on screen to make it a little bit easier, which I thought was a nice aspect as well. So if you're okay with maybe struggling a little bit in the control department, it might take some getting used to, but once you get past that, I feel like it's still well worth the cost of entry.
Yeah, and for only $2, I mean, that sounds like a steal to me. Awesome, good recommendation.
I'm very curious, Nimble, though, what your righteous recommendation is.
So my righteous recommendation this episode is gonna be Queen Rock Tour, which, and by the way, I'm a huge Queen fan, so this may not come as a surprise if you knew that, but this is a Guitar Hero style music rhythm game, an official one, by the way, in case that it wasn't clear from the rock band Queen. And what's so great about it is that it is trying to be more, well, I'm saying that because there's been so many music rhythm games made by indie developers that somehow get access to these songs or have you play EDM tracks, but not actual popular songs. But this is an official music rhythm game. And it's not trying to be more than it actually is. It's just a good old Guitar Hero style, you know, things coming down from the top and you have to tap at the right time and you can play the 2 first songs for free and then the full game unlocks for just a single $2.99, so $3 in-app purchase. And that's it. No more in-app purchases, no more advertisements. It's just $3 and then you have the full game. I think that includes 21 songs, including, of course, all the most popular ones like Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, and so on. They have a lot of songs that are not in the game yet. Obviously, Queen played for a long time. They recorded lots of great hits. I hope we'll see more content updates in the future. But even now, I think for $3 for any Queen fan, this is definitely a game to pick up on either Android or iOS. There's not a whole lot more to it, though. It's just that you play the songs. They have 3 difficulty tiers, each of them, and the most difficult one, it does get pretty difficult, I would say. So, but it's not trying to be a hardcore game. It's just a music rhythm game that anyone can enjoy, and it's clear that it's something that's made for the fans, which I can really appreciate instead of a game that is filled with in-app purchases or advertisements. So I don't know if you're a Queen fan.
I'm more of a new age Queen fan, so I actually just discovered Queen probably a few years ago. Like, I heard their songs on the radio before, and I didn't realize that's who they were until, like, I want to say probably 2 or 3 years ago. I really started getting into them, and I'm like, oh man, Queen is really good. But I can just picture you rocking out, you know, while you're playing Queen. I can hear you singing the songs, so I think that's really, I like the imagery of that. You on stage, you know.
Good. Yeah.
One thing.
Yeah. I picked up the guitar years, 15 years ago. I picked up the guitar because I was hoping I was going to be able to play the guitar solos from Queen's rock songs. So they definitely have a big influence on me.
Were you succeed? Did you succeed at that?
Let's move on.
One thing I wanted to say about we both have games that have, not an in-app purchase, but that are premium type games where we pay. And I'm liking the price points that they're set at. Mine was $2, yours is $3.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. If more premium mobile games would go that route with the lower price point as opposed to the higher price point of like $9.99. I know some Square Enix titles are $15.99 USD, but this lower price point is really appealing to me because you get a quality game at a price that's, you just don't eat lunch that day or just save a few pennies that day and you can actually purchase these games. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing here.
As any good gamer would do, just skip eating so you can play more video games.
Skip eating and skip sleeping, of course.
You heard it here first, guys. That's the official recommendation. Okay. Well, so there you go. Those are the righteous recommendations. But I know you had a whole slew of new games you wanted to talk about as well. Some game announcements we've had throughout this past month and a half. I think almost all of these have been announced within the last month and a half.
Yeah, so usually we'll talk about maybe some games that are already released that you guys might want to check out, but I thought it'd be fun to just say here are some announcements of games because for some reason the last month, like you said, the last 2 months, they're just announcing games like crazy that are going to be coming out. Now we don't have official release dates on these games. Some of them might be towards the end of this year. They might roll over to 2022, but the first big announcement is PUBG New State. Now you might think, oh, PUBG, this might be an add-on, a DLC type thing. No, this is a whole new PUBG game, and it's supposed to be set in the year 2051. It's a futuristic PUBG type title, new graphics, new setting, but same PUBG. So if you are excited for another Battle Royale to come out, if you're excited for more PUBG, this might be the game for you. But the real question is who is excited for more Battle Royale? Nimble, are you excited?
See, that's the good question. I was about to say you sound like a salesperson. You're trying to pitch the game to me. New graphics, new setting, same good old PUBG.
That's exactly what it is.
But then what you said kind of hinted at, it was sort of a weight question almost. It hinted at you potentially not being so excited about more Battle Royale games. And that's how I feel as well, by the way, in case I kind of put the words in your mouth there. But that's how I feel at least. I am not super excited for more Battle Royale games. I feel like I've played them all. I've gotten that experience. It was great fun. A new PUBG isn't something that gets me super excited. But with that said, obviously, lots of people are really excited about this. PUBG remains one of the most popular and best earning mobile games, even here in 2021. So
yeah,
I guess I'll have to check it out.
I mean, I think I'll check it out just out of a curiosity standpoint to see if maybe there might be something new that they're offering or a change to the mechanics. But even if there's a slight change to the mechanics, I do feel like the Battle Royale genre has just ran its course. I feel like I don't get excited about it. I mean, not that I was super excited about it before. I just feel like it's going to start becoming this run-of-the-mill, redundant, type of thing. To where we're just like, oh, here we go again, another Battle Royale. But we'll have to see if, PUBG, what is it called again? New State. They want to make sure it's new. PUBG New State it brings anything new to the table.
Yeah, see, if they wanted to lure me in, I would love to see, it basically turning into not a Battle Royale anymore. They can have the Battle Royale mode. I would love to just have a Team Deathmatch mode or something like that.
There you go.
But they're probably not going to do that because that's not what their target audience wants.
Yeah.
But to me, Battle Royale is not that exciting. I think that's my issue with it. Is it gets exciting towards the end. Obviously, if you survive, that's the beauty of it. It gets more and more exciting as you go, like in one match, right?
Yeah.
The longer you survive, the intensity increases, right? The map gets smaller. It's great. I mean, I will admit that. But for the first many minutes, depending on which of these games you play, the matches usually do take, 10, 20 minutes. And so for the first 10 minutes, it's kind of just boring, in my opinion. The maps are too big. There are too few players. Takes too long to just run around. Maybe you shoot one person. And then on the other hand, you have something like Call of Duty Mobile. Not to keep bringing up that game. It could be any other sort of traditional first-person shooter on mobile. And there is just high intensity right from the beginning. And I'm not saying that's better. It's just a personal preference. I prefer that.
Yeah, same. Honestly, if PUBG New State would be maybe, like you said, like kind of like a Call of Duty Mobile where you have Team Deathmatch, you have different game modes, and then you have like, okay, there's a Battle Royale aspect to it, kind of like what COD Mobile did. That might be interesting as well. I mean, a lot of people would probably say, oh, they're copying COD Mobile or whatnot, but at least they'd be trying something different.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, moving on, we have another announcement. Hitman Sniper Assassin is coming out. This is the follow-up to the Hitman Sniper game that came out probably in 2015, I want to say. It's actually been a while. And I played the Hitman Sniper for mobile, and it's basically just staged-based levels where you have a sniper rifle and you just take out enemies that are far away. You have a target you have to take out, but then you have like little side targets you can take out. You can shoot light fixtures to have enemies go, see, hey, what's going on? Why'd the lights go out? And then you shoot them in the head or something, slow motion kills. So this is the follow-up to that. I'm kind of excited about it. It's probably going to be a premium game because I know the first one was. So we'll see how that one goes because I know the Hitman Sniper franchise, which is just like the mobile franchise, has been doing really well as well as the, of course, traditional Hitman games. So we'll see how that goes.
No, but I'm actually surprised about that because I come from the land of Hitman. It was developed in Denmark and then published by Square Enix.
I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
IO Interactive, the company that made Hitman, it's a Danish company. So I am supposed to love it. And I hope nobody I know here in Denmark listens right now, but I've actually never played a Hitman game.
Oh my goodness, a disgrace.
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Especially if anyone from IO Interactive listens, but hopefully and probably not. But I'm surprised to see just how popular it is on mobile. I'm checking out right now as you were describing it, and it seems to have over on Google Play. It has almost 900,000 reviews, not downloads, but reviews.
Yeah.
Which is pretty insane for a premium game. I think I do remember though the game going free for some time. Like there was like a promotion where you could download it for free. If I recall correctly, over a weekend or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was a few years ago or what. I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly I'm sure the follow-up is probably going to be equally as popular. And it wouldn't surprise me, actually, if they go the premium route again. It just seems to be what they do. Both IO Interactive, the developers, and also Square Enix, the publishers, they like their premium games. So
I remember when I got Hitman Sniper, the original one, I think it was $4.99 USD. So if it follows that same route, which was a quality price at that time, if it follows that same route, I feel like this will find good success as well. And plus, I mean, 5 years on, I'm sure the graphics are going to be a little bit better. Our phones are more capable to handle more graphically intense games. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. And then there's another game that others will be excited about. And the reason why I say that is because I've never played Summoner's War. Now, there's my disgrace. But Summoner's War is a very popular mobile game. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm not alone. But I always hear people talking about it. I even get requests on some of my videos to talk about Summoner's War, and I just never got around to it. So I'm sorry, people who left those comments on my videos. But Summoner's War is getting a follow-up in Summoner's War Lost Centuria. I think I said that right. Everyone is excited about Summoner's War follow-up Lost Centuria. It has a pre-registrations that exceeds 5 million already. So there's more than 5 million people who are getting ready for this game.
Yeah. And again, going back to the old Summoner's War, like the first Summoner's War game, it has whatever these stats actually mean, I don't know, but we talked about Hitman before having 500,000, I think it was 500,000 ratings over on Google Play. Summoner's War has 2.2 million. So just to put that into context.
Yeah.
It was a beast when it released, and as you said, it still remains very big, so... But I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. I'm not super excited for Lost Centuria because I didn't play the first one. But of course it makes sense. So if anyone listening, played and enjoyed the first Summoner's War, this might be something for you to look into. I don't know. Did you mention? I think it releases already by the end of April. So very soon now. So
oh yeah, that one is supposed to release really soon. Yeah.
So you guys don't have to wait that long if you're looking to get into it.
So make sure you go pre-register and then you get them to 6 million pre-registrations. Because I know there's a million people who listen to this podcast, so of course.
Absolutely.
So of course, go pre-register. All right, so next on our list of announcements is Tomb Raider Reloaded. Now, Tomb Raider Reloaded, of course, is going to be a Tomb Raider game on mobile. From what I've seen of gameplay footage, it's a top-down shooter. It's actually out now in Thailand and the Philippines. So anybody who's listening who is in that region, download it and give it a try, or let us know what you think about it in the comment section, because I'm very curious. I am a Tomb Raider fan. I've played all the old Tomb Raider games. I've played the new trilogy. I've seen all the old movies. I haven't seen the new movie, and I know Nimble Thor has seen the old movies as well, because we were talking about it in the pre-show. It looks exciting. The top-down aspect might be nice. I know Tomb Raider did a top-down shooter type game on consoles, Guardians of Light, I think it was called. And that was well received, and it kind of has top-down with puzzle mechanics. I'm hoping this one takes that route, but we'll have to see when it comes out. Once it releases worldwide, I'll definitely be doing a video on it.
Yeah, it seems like an interesting one for sure. Do you think it's going to be a premium game as well? Is that the expectation?
I think it's free to play. I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen what any price points on it. It might be free to play, so we'll have to, of course, keep a lookout on the monetization, see what it does there or whatnot. But I am curious to see what it does. The graphic style is kind of like a cartoony, blocky type graphic style. From what I've seen in gameplay footage, because you can look it up on YouTube, it does look decent. But we'll have to wait until I get it in my hands.
Interesting.
And this is our last announcement of this podcast, and it's probably one of the most exciting for some. I'm actually kind of excited for this, probably more excited than the new PUBG coming out. It's Rocket League Sideswipe. Now, Rocket League Sideswipe is basically a mobile version of the popular Rocket League game, which is on PC and console. It's not the exact game. It's like a whole new iteration of it. It has 1 versus 1 matches, 2 versus 2 matches, and the perspective is like a 2D side-scrolling perspective with, of course, 3D models. Matches are supposed to be very quick, 2-minute matches instead of 5-minute. It is being alpha tested in Australia and New Zealand, so if anybody is listening there, let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, it's another one of those games we can't play yet, but we want to talk about it early. We want to talk about it now already, especially because for me, I mean, as you said as well, for me this is something I'm excited about as well. It has been very long rumored, that there's going to be a Rocket League game on mobile, and I think many were hoping for a full experience though, right? Like the full. Do you think that would have worked out, the full Rocket League on mobile?
I think if they would have changed the graphics a little bit to be maybe either cell shaded or a little lower end, they might have been able to work it out. But I do feel like they would have had an issue when it comes to controls when it came to that. So the route they took here, I can see that it being more manageable on mobile. You brought up a game that it kind of resembles, and what was that again?
Yes, it's Drive Ahead Sports, which is an indie game. It's published by Do Dreams. I mean, some may know those publishers, indie game publishers. But yeah, Drive Ahead Sports is a bit of the same. Drive Ahead Sports is just 1 versus 1, if I recall correctly. They may have a 2 versus 2 as well, game mode, but it's 1 versus 1, and yeah, 2D side view, and you basically just have to either bump into each other or get a ball into a, you know, it's called sports for a reason, so there's different types of...
Get a ball in the hole.
Yeah, get a ball somewhere, you know?
Definition.
So like, either it's basketball or it resembles football, whatever it is, but that's the point of it. But you use your card to do that. And it's also a very popular game, by the way, very popular indie game, has at least, I think, in the tens of millions of downloads, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it resembles that, but just way more polished, obviously. I mean, from an art style perspective, it certainly looks more like a proper Rocket League game than Drive Ahead Sports does. But they probably saw, this wouldn't surprise me, they probably saw the success of Drive Ahead Sports, and then they went in there and they were like, hey, we can do this. And it's a perfect match for their IP, right? It just makes sense to create a mobile version of it. Even though some are probably going to be disappointed. Just because of the fact that it's not the full experience. So
it's not full-fledged, Rocket League. And I know Rocket League is like huge. There's like esports tournaments when it comes to it. A lot of people are still playing it. I have a friend who's played it since day one. And I even ask him sometimes, like, you're still playing Rocket League? And he's like, yeah, Rocket League is the best. So
yeah,
it definitely has popularity. Yeah, hardcore
really
popularity.
Fan base. Yeah, so... maybe some of those are gonna come over to mobile, but I have to expect or have to think that the developers or publishers also knew that many of those, you know, core console and PC players are probably not gonna enjoy this. So I think it's also an attempt at getting more of us mobile gamers who may not yet have played the full Rocket League game to get a taste for it, and then maybe they hope that we get over there on PC and console and buy the full version of the game. Unless, of course, this game actually ends up earning more money, which may also happen because it's mobile and crazy things happen, and you can have, you know, pay-to-win monetization, and somehow it's more accepted, not by me, but somehow it's more accepted by the general mobile gamer than it is on PC to have pay-to-win, unfortunately. But talking about monetization and talking about crazy numbers on mobile, we actually have a couple of interesting news as well. So these are not so much new game announcements, but mostly just crazy stuff that has happened in the industry that you should know about if you're a mobile gamer. And the first one is, you know, sort of going back to PUBG. PUBG Mobile, the old one, the current version of the game, has now become only the third mobile game to reach more than 1 billion downloads. And this is, of course, across Android and iOS, but that's still crazy. There's only 3 of these games in the world, and now PUBG Mobile is one of them, which is pretty astonishing to think about. So going back to what we talked about before, are people excited for Battle Royale games? They probably are, and I think we're the odd ones out instead.
Yeah, we're the ones who are missing what's going on here. I mean, 1 billion downloads is huge to have a game being downloaded that much. And that's why I was really surprised that the new PUBG, New State, coming out, is its own standalone title and not like a DLC or not like an add-on. Because in my head, I was thinking, oh, they want to take advantage of that 1 billion downloads and have people maybe either download this extra one or pay extra for it, something along those lines. But in the end, I mean, if they release a new one, maybe they can really reach 1 billion downloads in the new one as well. And it'll be the 4th game with 1 billion downloads. Who knows? Yeah, but the popularity is still there. It's strong in this one.
And I think it has something to do as well with, you know, PUBG, I think was or still is, I'm not sure on this, but at least was banned in India for a while. So I think this might have something to do with it, like them wanting to make a new version that is just developed and published by the developers themselves.
Yeah.
I think I read something along the lines of that, because then they have more control and they don't get bundled in together with Tencent or whoever published or helped publish the old one. Even though I think Tencent actually owns part of, if I recall correctly, part of the company behind PUBG Mobile. But of course, there's been lots of tension between China and India, and PUBG is huge in India. So I think that is part of the explanation as well. It surprised me, you know, it surprised me too that they wanted to go for a new game, but I think there's something there that I can't fully explain, but people can, you guys listening can go look into that if you're interested in it. There is a story there to be told. But another crazy 1 billion number for this episode is that Genshin Impact, don't worry, they haven't reached 1 billion downloads, but they have celebrated $1 billion in revenue. And so you might think, okay, wait, I mean, Genshin Impact is still pretty new, right? And you're right, but that's because it is the fastest gaming title ever. And not just on mobile, just like fastest game ever to earn $1 billion in revenue, which took them just about 6 months.
Only 6 months, folks.
Only 6 months. Dang it! I have to wait 6 months for my $1 billion paycheck. Oh man! But,
there's a baby that was born 6 months ago, and now $1 billion has Genshin Impact.
Yeah, that's crazy. They earned, but this is probably even more crazy. Is they earned $245 million in the first month. So like 1/4 of their total revenue in the first month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then they have somehow been successful at launching new characters, new weapons, new interesting stuff that people continue wanting to pay for. Essentially, that's it, right? It monetizes through in-app purchases, as I'm sure everyone listening knows. And they've had a very strong release schedule, like with releasing new stuff.
They're constantly doing updates. They're constantly doing announcements. I mean, I don't even play the game anymore, but for some reason on my news feeds, I still get information about, new update or new character pack or new weapon, new area, this and this and that. And it's good to see that, like, that this game is constantly being supported. I mean, with that amount of revenue, you would think it is being supported. And that was the idea from the get-go. Was just always, update the game, keep it going, keep that user base going, and it looks like that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and the developers hired over 1,000 new employees. Isn't that crazy? 1,000 new employees just to be able to continue maintaining it and obviously developing new games as well. I heard an interview with the CEO of the company behind, or the developers of Genshin Impact, and he said that Genshin Impact was just a test almost. This was just to see if they could be done. And now the next step for them is to make some sort of he has this idea of creating some sort of metaverse almost, where you can jump into different types of gameplay experiences. He was kind of vague about it, but he certainly has big plans. And by he, I'm referring to the CEO of the company. And now they also have the money to be able to do it, and the manpower, the developers to be able to do whatever crazy thing they've got coming up next. So I'm not playing Genshin Impact anymore either. I didn't spend any money on the game, but I am excited about what this company is up to,
Yeah,
because they certainly,
definitely.
You can love it or hate it, but they do know how to, create a good experience for those who enjoy their games. And I think that's something you can celebrate, even if you don't like that particular game. You can celebrate the fact that there are developers out there who are doing things, for their players, basically. Even though I'm not one of them anymore. But we have some bad news as well, potentially bad news at least. The developers of Bloons Tower Defense, obviously a super popular tower defense franchise, right? Probably one of the most well-known tower defense franchises. The company behind it, Ninja Kiwi, has been acquired by another company called MTG, which is the company that also owns Kongregate now. They're not the ones who launched Kongregate, but they bought Kongregate in 2017 or 18, during the time when Kongregate was moving from being a Flash browser gaming platform to really focusing on mobile with all the idle games. They have all those idle games that are super popular on mobile. But the question is then, is this good or bad news for the future of the Bloons franchise? And I don't know what you think, Tiny, but I think there's the reasonable possibility that we'll start seeing the next Bloons tower defense games being more heavily monetized. That's my concern, at least.
Yeah, so I mean, it really goes. The biggest worry that I always get when a company is acquiring another company or a developer is that company that's acquiring it, what history do they have with mobile game development or even mobile games? What's their incentive for doing it? And of course, the incentive is always going to be money, and that's why the monetization aspect comes to the forefront or comes to the mind so easily. And I do worry that they're going to change the way these games are being presented or even being made. And sometimes these acquisitions are for the better, and it helps those developers make these games, better, make changes. They do want to get their money out of it, so of course they're going to try to make these games be more high quality, let's say. So it could be that route, but we're just going to have to see. I'm curious, and I don't know much how well Kongregate has done since MTG took over, and I'm not really sure if they've even any new games have came out from them that have done better because of it or not. That would probably be the first example, honestly.
Yeah, but I think most of Kongregate's success on mobile has come after them being acquired by MTG. And when I say that, I know some people may hear that and say, but wait, Nimblethor, I mean, Kongregate had released many games or published many games prior to MTG acquiring it. And that's true, but Kongregate has been doing really well on mobile and been releasing some idle games that have earned them, not just idle games, but I keep coming back to idle games because they
have a lot of idle games.
They have a lot, and they have earned them a lot of money. So I think MTG, maybe they're not the bad guys here. I don't know. Like, maybe it's okay. I will say, you know, Super Fancy Pants Adventure released, and that was a premium game that got published by Kongregate. Some people may know that game from the Flash browser gaming days, Super Fancy Pants Adventure. It released as a premium game, and I think, don't hold me up on this, but I think that was after MTG acquired Kongregate. So they're not completely against, it seems, releasing premium games. So maybe it's not too bad. Maybe
we'll have to see. Because I know
we'll have to see about that one.
Bloons is usually a premium game. I think they have a few Bloons titles that might be free to play, but normally they are premium, $2.99, $4.99 type games. So we'll have to see if they kind of keep that production value up. And if so, then hey, they're the good guys, I guess. Only time will tell.
We'll have to see. But at least now you know, if things change in the Bloons Tower Defense world, this might be why. But there's another interesting acquisition that happened recently, and this surprised me. I gotta say, this one really surprised me. The company behind TikTok, which is called ByteDance, they acquired the developers of none other than Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and that valued the game studio at $4 billion. So this was a pretty big. Yeah, this was a big deal. I mean, this is a really big one. I think Ninja Kiwi, just to add some context here, Ninja Kiwi being the developers and publishers of Bloons Tower Defense, I think they got acquired for $140 million. But now ByteDance bought the developers of Mobile Legends Bang Bang at a valuation of $4 billion. That is a lot of cash. And it's a lot of money to spend as a, you know, ByteDance being a technology company, like a social media and technology company. And I say technology, by the way, for those who don't know, because yes, of course, they have TikTok, right? The social media everyone knows about. But a big part of why TikTok is successful is because of their tech and not just bringing people together, but specifically their algorithms. And TikTok, or ByteDance, ByteDance has made lots of like video editing and image editing tools as well. So it's a tech company, but them acquiring a game studio kind of surprised me. Did you, have we seen that before? I guess that's a good question to ask.
I think it's a trend that's starting to happen more and more as time goes on, where these companies that aren't necessarily involved with mobile games or just gaming in general are starting to like buy up these companies who are involved as another revenue source, or maybe they just see that, oh, there's a growing demand for mobile games. I mean, Mobile Legends Bang Bang is still super popular, still making money. So I think they might just be diversifying their investments, you know, mobile gaming is here to stay. This game is popular. Let's invest in this company. $4 billion is a huge investment for a company, and they're already making huge amounts of money off of TikTok. I can't imagine the amount they make off of TikTok. So this is like the first time I'm hearing of like an outside company that doesn't have to do with gaming coming in, but I know it's happened before in the past. I just can't think of off the top of my head. And it seems to be a new trend that's happening, and it's very interesting to see this because, I mean, MTG, when we were talking about acquiring developers of Bloons Tower, I don't even know if they were gaming related originally, were they?
I am not sure entirely either, but they had a VC fund, like a venture capital investment fund, and I think, and I may be wrong about this, but I think they started as just an investment fund, you know, a bunch of rich people throwing money at an investment fund, and that investment fund investing into startups. And then I think they just slowly transitioned into, like, they started acquiring and like fully acquiring, not just investing into, but buying up the entire company of these game companies like Kongregate. There was a few other ones that I forgot about, but they own a few different pretty sizable gaming franchises. But ByteDance, to my knowledge, doesn't, or like they didn't previously. I think maybe not in terms of mobile gaming, but something slightly comparable might be Facebook. I mean, Facebook acquiring the VR headsets.
Oh, that's true. Oculus. Was it Oculus? Right? It might have been.
Oculus, yeah. They acquired Oculus relatively briefly after the very successful Kickstarter campaign in 2012 or something like that. It got acquired by Facebook. And that has been successful. I mean, so it's not like this can't be it's not like something bad is necessarily going to come out of this. It can be for the better as well. I'm not saying that Facebook did, all the right things with Oculus, but I think generally Oculus as a company is doing well now, even though Facebook acquired them. That's my point. So it can happen. It can happen. But anyway, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, between you and me and everyone listening now, it's not the best game in the world. And I hope I'm not getting...
It's not the best MOBA. It's not the best MOBA, that's for sure.
But it's a very, very popular one. And the reason why I say best is just I don't like their monetization. But it is a solid MOBA, I guess. And it's a very popular one. So there you go. They got acquired. Bloons Tower Defense got acquired. And Genshin Impact made $1 billion. I mean, it's a crazy world we're living in where we're talking about like billions of dollars when we're talking about not the mobile games industry as a whole, but just individual developers.
In next week's podcast, Nimble Thor and Tiny Little Games get acquired for $100 gazillion.
Yes, please. We would never buy out or sell out, and then when you get the deal.
Not even for $100 gazillion, we wouldn't.
Nope. Easy to say when that's
not happening.
Right? Yeah. Now we teased this at the beginning. We have to talk about it then, and I want to talk about it. I want to discuss it. I wanna tell you how wrong you are, maybe even.
Or how right I am. We'll see how this goes.
On. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll see, maybe. Okay, we want to talk about Warhammer Odyssey, right? And I'll let you start. What are your thoughts on Warhammer Odyssey? Because we both played it. It's a 3D MMORPG, free to play. And it was somewhat hyped. I mean, it was pretty hyped leading up to the release. Obviously, because it's from the Warhammer franchise, I guess. And also because every new MMORPG on mobile seems to get a decent amount of hype. So we both played it. We're going to talk about it now. Overall, what are your thoughts on the game?
Okay, so let me collect myself here. I have a lot to say about Warhammer Odyssey. Some good, some bad, but let's just get right down to it. When I first saw it and I first saw the announcement, super hyped, super excited, which I'm guessing a lot of us were. Finally got to sit down and play the game. And there's some good things, there's some bad things. First and foremost, I really do like that it tries its best to stick to the classic MMORPG feel. There's no auto mechanics, you're traveling to your quest locations, you're taking on quests, you're actually inputting buttons to fight. There's nothing auto about it, which is good in some cases. I'm going to get back to that, why I'm saying some cases. I'm not a fan of auto, but I feel like almost Warhammer could have used some auto in certain cases here. So anyway, so that's the good. I think it did a very good job of making me feel like, oh, I'm playing MMORPGs from back when I was a teen or something, or I'm pretty old, guys. Like old classic World of Warcraft days, that's the feeling I got from it. And even the graphical art style kind of got me that feeling as well, that kind of blocky look it has. No reservations when it comes to the art style or when it comes to the basic bare bones mechanics. But I have to say, one of my biggest gripes with it, and you've talked about this before in other podcasts, and I don't know how you feel right now, so you can of course rebuttal me when you get the chance. But it's the combat. The combat is super slow. It's super, I feel like it's mundane. I feel like it's not exciting. I'm just pushing the button. I'm waiting for him to attack. I'm moving to the next person. The controls felt really wonky to me when it became to like switching between, oh, you already have something to say. Okay.
Yeah, I have something to say here.
Okay, let me finish just the combat and then I'll let you rebuttal.
Okay,
this is like a debate. We're going to treat this like a debate.
Yeah.
Okay. Switching between enemies felt it felt so it felt like I was battling the controls itself. Like if I wanted to tap on another enemy to fight them while this other one's fighting me, it just didn't feel so smooth and fluid. And then running to the next enemy, the combat felt very too slow. I wish it could have been tweaked. I wish maybe the timers on the cooldowns could have been raised a little bit, which they can still possibly do. But I just felt very bored when it came to the combat. But if you have, if you have a better thing to say about the combat, let me know. Okay.
So here are my thoughts. I agree. I'll start by this. It's good to find some common ground. I agree that switching between enemies that you're targeting, like it's a targeting, there's a targeting system. So like you lock onto an enemy and then you smash some buttons. Switching between targets, not a good experience. That didn't work very nicely. Okay. But I do, on that specific thing, I do also want to cut them a bit of slack because it is in early access and it seems like something that would be very easy to change. But of course, we have to take the game for what it is. Right now, it's not a great experience to switch between enemies, but I'm just saying, can probably, and I almost expect that that's going to change a bit. But
I can see that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, thanks. The bigger issue that you bring up is that the combat system is mundane, is what you said, slightly boring. Here's my thing. I don't think MMORPGs ever had interesting combat. Not really interesting combat. If you wanted, like, faster paced, really exciting combat, you'd play ARPGs instead. Single player ARPGs, maybe with some co-op. That's what you'd play. If you wanted fantasy style, exciting combat. That has just never been possible in MMORPGs because of how big those games are, because of the latency, because of how many players you have in the match. You just can't have insanely fast-paced combat. You can, of course, have way faster combat than what we have in Warhammer Odyssey. I will absolutely give it that. I mean, look at some of the other big MMORPGs that released recently. But I think for me personally, and the type of player I guess I represent, there might be a few out there who align with me on this point. For me, it's not the most important thing to have exciting combat, but of course, it shouldn't become so boring that you quit the game. So that's a fine line, right? RuneScape, to me, huge RuneScape fan. I've played it for thousands of hours. Old school RuneScape, very boring combat. So old school RuneScape, for those who haven't played it, they don't even have abilities or skills. It's just your standard attack, and then you have different weapons. And it's just a standard attack for each of them. Now, the newer versions of RuneScape, that's a different case. I should say the new version, the RuneScape Free. So there are two versions of RuneScape. But old school RuneScape, which still runs and does very well, that doesn't have interesting combat. But I never played that. I'm just using that as an example, right? I never played RuneScape because of the combat. And I want to add one more thing. That's not an excuse to have an overall game that's boring, okay? So RuneScape, old school
now we're
RuneScape,
getting to what we agree on.
Yeah, now we're getting to what we agree on. Old school RuneScape has a lot of things you can do. You can go out and you can mine ores, and you can smith that into armor, and you can sell it to other players on the Grand Exchange, and other people can buy it from you. If that's not what you want to do, you can go cut down some wood, you can make your own bows, or you can go on many, these really huge adventures. And I say adventures because the quests in RuneScape are so big, they almost feel like small adventures on their own. Great experience, lots to do. Warhammer Odyssey doesn't have that. So I will give you that. I mean, I know you didn't bring that up, but you said that the game overall felt mundane and boring because of the combat system. And that's the point we can agree on, I think, is that since the combat system almost stands alone as the primary gameplay objective of Warhammer Odyssey, I get that people who want faster-paced combat would find the entire game to be boring because the combat is slow-paced. I'm just saying, for me, it could get better, but I had a great experience just slow and steadily running around hacking at enemies. And I think for me, MMORPGs is more about just turning off my brain and relaxing, and actually a slow-paced combat system is perfect for that.
And it could be, if I want to play devil's advocate, it could be that I'm spoiled, right? I've played a lot of MMORPGs on mobile. Black Desert Mobile being one of the most recent ones where I enjoyed the combat that was super fast-paced, almost like an ARPG, but yet it was an MMORPG. And so as I'm playing Warhammer Odyssey, I'm thinking, wow, what if we had that Black Desert Mobile combat system, but everything else was the same, the graphics of Warhammer Odyssey, I would probably be enjoying myself a lot more in that case. Another thing with Warhammer Odyssey, which I have to talk about, and I don't know how you feel about it, is the world itself. The actual, going through the world and witnessing everything just felt very lifeless. It felt very, how to explain it? Like nothing was going on outside of you just doing the combat. And I know a lot of MMORPGs do this, and I shouldn't make comparisons to, let's say I keep making comparisons to Black Desert Mobile, let's say, but like, or even other ones like Stella Arcana, which is one I played recently, where it felt like there was more things going on in the background. And I understand that that doesn't mean, or that doesn't make or break a game, but things felt lifeless. And I couldn't help but as I'm running around, so this is going back to the auto mechanics. I like the lack of auto because you're actually going to certain quests, which means you have to be prepared to not have enough in your inventory, or you have to be prepared to like weapons degrade in Warhammer Odyssey, which I actually think is a plus because it really makes you think before you go on that journey and just fight a bunch of enemies. You're like, oh no, I'm not going to last in this journey. I better go repair my weapons now. But then taking that extreme long trek at times, I know there's fast travel points eventually, but taking those extreme long treks at times, I would like to at least be going through a world that feels alive or that feels like there's stuff going on. And it just felt like it was missing that aspect. And I don't know if that's anything that can change when it comes to updates or anything, or that can just be an overall feel how I'm feeling. But having that lack of like a world that seems like it's moving as I'm moving, that's kind of hard to explain, but that kind of brought me down as well. It kind of brought me out of the experience, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I will agree that the world felt a bit strange. I mean, especially if you take the first couple of hours of gameplay, you end up running around in this town, and there are just so many, like every NPC, almost every NPC outside of they have sort of this center of the town where you have all the NPCs, but as soon as you run outside of that, everyone is just an enemy. Like,
yeah,
everyone there's just an enemy. And you have to defeat them one at a time. You don't have this fast-paced Black Desert Mobile combat where you have like 5, 6, 7 enemies on you at once, and you just do these huge area demolishing of attacks. Yeah, you don't have that at all. But on the other hand, you also don't have pay to win. I mean, the game is almost free of pay to win. I'm talking about Warhammer Odyssey. You can pay to progress faster. They have these potions where you get more XP if you use them for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but it's at that level, like 15 to 30 minutes. We're not talking about permanent extra XP unless you spend a lot of money on the game, and even then, the game isn't. It isn't the most grindy game of all. Although I will admit, I haven't played Till the Cap, so I don't know yet. I've heard from other players it does get very grindy once you get further up. And I think one of the issues is that this game would have been probably even better on PC. And what I mean with that is games that don't have a lot to them yet, and I say yet because it's a new game, right? And it's not as big of a production as Black Desert Mobile is. So games that don't have a lot to them yet have to rely on the community and the social features. And chatting in an MMORPG, like chatting from your phone, just isn't the same as chatting from a computer. So, games like RuneScape, especially back in the day, the world felt somewhat dead as well in the early days of RuneScape, but you could chat with other people. There were people everywhere, and you would chat with them. You would actually, make friendships there. That is a bit more difficult in Warhammer Odyssey. Obviously, just because it takes longer to chat from a smartphone. It's not as convenient. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I have
another negative. I'm just full of negativity today. You shouldn't have got me started, Nimble. You know how I
get. Bring it on.
So the quests themselves. I'm not saying that you have to have this awesome storyline thing going on where, I don't know, I'm the savior of humanity, but I felt myself. It could be partly me because sometimes when I feel like I'm not involved in a quest, I might skip through dialogue, which we all do it, but there are times when I was like, okay, I'm going to decide to read everything and see what's going on because I am interested in the Warhammer universe. I played some Warhammer games in the past. I really liked them. And I thought, okay, this is an interesting take. And there was some good things when it came to storyline wise or quests. But then of course, there was times where I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care that you're missing your ale in an alley somewhere, or that your dog is missing. I don't care. And then so I would just run through them. And that could be a personal preference for me because I know some are MMORPGs. Of course, there's quest lines or there's quests where, it's like, okay, this is your fetch quest or this is this. But nothing hooked me initially when it came to what was going on. And I think that's what took me out of it as well, was the lack of great quest lines. There was one quest line where you went into the dungeon and you fought the big spider, the big spider thing. That was cool. Like once I did that, I was like, oh man, I was like, okay, I can get into this. You're fighting these spiders in the sewers. Then you get to the big boss spider. Then you got to battle the boss spider. I'm like, okay, I'm into this. But once I was out of that and I was back into the town, it just felt very just, okay, let's go through the motions. Let's do this, and I was just oh man, I want more of that. And I hate to be so negative because like you said, it's in early access. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure, further down the road, the end game content could be different, or there could be, more extraneous quests. But then when you got on that beach and you're fighting the pirates, it was another time when I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't care about these pirates.
Yeah, you don't care about the pirates, and then you have to go pick up those crates, and they're yeah.
Yes. And then you got to pick up the crates, and then you're getting hit by enemies all over the place because these dang crates are in the way of these enemies. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then I couldn't switch between targeting characters. Anyway.
Yeah, no. But here's my thing. Listen, overall, I don't have a whole lot to say about the quests. I don't disagree with you, but I also don't. It's one of those things again where it's like, I'm just a different, I was looking for a different type of thing. So it's not that I disagree, actually. It's just I don't care about quests in general. I'll do them if I have to. If there's a game that allows me to progress without doing quests, I'll do that as well. My point is, I don't personally even care for games that have good quest lines. I mean, I'll skip the quests if I can anyway. I don't want to do it. Don't tell me what to do. I just want to have a world to run around in. And I think some of what we're talking about here might just be the price we have to pay, even though it's not ideal. In a perfect world, we'd have it all, but maybe that's just the price to pay for no auto stuff, no pay to win, I think what bugs me the most with all of this, it's not so much that I can't agree, because I do agree with much of the criticism as well, but I just can't shake the feeling that if we all collectively, I'm not talking about you here, but just all of us, if we collectively hold this game to as high a standard as something like Black Desert Mobile, we'll never see any of these types of games again. We will never see, I mean, this is one of the biggest production value, no auto combat, no auto questing, no pay to win MMORPGs to come out in a long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. I would say maybe even since Old School RuneScape released on mobile, and even that was, of course, a PC game prior to releasing on mobile. We see them so rarely, and so that's another thing I guess there's an emotional level to it for me, which is that I would love to see more of these types of games. I would love to see a Warhammer Odyssey 2, if they make some money, which unfortunately it sounds like they won't necessarily do, because most people are basically trashing the game. But I think if they had the money to do a follow-up, they would do a great job. If they have the money to continue working on this game and adding more stuff, it would be a really good experience for the type of player who's interested in this. But if we just mention the sort of what's bad with the game, it will never see never even get the chance to succeed. And I feel like that would be a shame, because I would love to play more of this, to be honest with you. And I think this is the one MMORPG that I could see myself playing long term, even though I gotta admit I didn't play it for the past couple of weeks. So I haven't been living up to that sort of fairy tale story I'm telling myself here, this little rant I'm on. But I just, it made me somewhat angry that everyone was just pointing out all the negative stuff in reviews of the game, not because I didn't agree, but because they didn't so much, and I'm not addressing you here, but people in general didn't really address the fact that it's so rare to get a game like this, that tries to do what these developers are doing. And they may not be perfect, but at least they're doing it. At least they're doing something, right? They're not just making another run-of-the-mill pay-to-win MMORPG.
Yeah. So, with that said, with you saying that, now you made me feel bad, and I'm going to go delete my video. Thanks, Nimblethor. But no, you make a very good, something that honestly, which I should have thought of, or something that we should all think of or take into considerations that sometimes we don't. And that is true. I do have to agree with you on that. Like, if this game is being, let's say, highly criticized in that manner to where it's being bashed on or something along those lines, you're right. We might never ever get something similar without the auto mechanics, without the traditional MMORPG stuff that we all despise, let's say, on mobile, that we all kind of, always disagree with. And then now you get something different, and then there's still criticism. So I definitely understand that from a perspective of moving the dial when it comes to mobile gaming, when it comes to making changes and this and that, I would still, of course, like to see some success in this game as well, because you're right, I would like to see some changes being made and positivity around it. And, you know, with Warhammer Odyssey, I feel like hope is not lost. I do feel like they can make some changes and some tweaks. And I did mention some of that in my video, that there are some things I feel like they can do without changing the whole game as a whole, that could probably make things work a little bit better. And, you know, I will be revisiting it. I haven't played it in a few weeks as well, but I will be revisiting it, you know, when more updates are coming and this and that, because I want to see how that combat changes. If they fix some of the targeting, I know speeding it up, you know, some people might like that, some people might not, but even if they speed it just a little bit when it comes to cooldowns or making it more fluid, you know, I could see it being, you know, a little bit more entertaining. But it is one of those, it's one of those decisive titles where there's some good in it and, you know, there's some bad in it. And I just think that if they can manage to make those goods even better and maybe tweak those bads a little bit, I mean, there might be some success out of it. I do hope. I do hope that it does make money, though.
Yeah, same here. See, that's my thing. I very much agree with what you just said. And if it just comes down to the big if, you know, can they actually make enough money?
Yeah.
Because it's not pay to win. So, I mean, if it was pay to win, they would probably be able to make some money even with a small player base. But now that they don't have a lot of pay to win, I mean, they have a very light monetization for an MMORPG on mobile. They do need quite a few players. So I hope, talking about MTG and investment companies, hopefully these guys have some big investors backing them up so they can continue working on it. I saw a review over on Google Play saying that it feels like the game should have just released later. I mean, it feels like just a game that could use just maybe half a year, maybe even a year
more
of
development time.
Yeah. But that's the games industry for you. I mean, releases get rushed because they have to release because of investors, typically investors, and, you know, running out of money in general. That's the games industry.
So what did we get out of this conversation?
Yeah, exactly. What's the conclusion? I know I made you, here at the end, I pulled my ultimate card and I made you
dude,
like the bad guy.
You pulled the sympathy card. Yeah, you pulled the sympathy card and you used the word anger. And once you use that word, because I've never heard you use that word before, I was just like, my whole heart sank.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. No, to be honest, I do agree. There's a lot that needs to be improved with the game. And I just hope it will succeed. I wish all the best. And I think, I guess you agree. So that maybe we can end it there on that note with Warhammer Odyssey.
I feel like that's our, exactly, hope. The end of this conversation about Warhammer Odyssey is hope.
Exactly. We'd all use a bit of hope these days. So I guess with that, let's wrap it up. But before you leave, be sure to let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. If you have comments, if you're watching on YouTube, and leave a rating on your favorite podcasting app if that's what you're listening on. It would mean the world to us. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. And if you don't know what you're gonna go play now, if you're not gonna go play Warhammer Odyssey after this conversation we had here, you can always find lots of great recommendations on our YouTube channels by searching over on YouTube for either Nimblethor, that would be me, or Tiny Little Games, obviously for Tiny Little Games. Our mobile gaming Discord server is also still fired up, by the way, so if you're looking for a place to just come hang out and chat about mobile games, we hope to see you there. You can always tag either me or Tiny Little Games over there if you want to get in direct contact with us, and we'll try to get back to you. And that is all there is to say for this long outro. So we hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you, and I'll see you, Tiny, as well, in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.